However, the real depth of its military capability comes from its 6 Red Guards, who can be mobilized in wartime. This effectively means that
Did you know that the USA has over 5,200 nuclear warheads in their arsenal? But did you also know that North Korea has over 40 of them? If you had no idea about this, you're not alone. Most Americans don't know how many nukes the Hermit Kingdom actually has. And if they do, probably assume it's a much smaller number than the truth. In today's video, we'll show you just how many nuclear weapons North Korea has. Then we'll compare that to the USA's own nuclear stockpile. We'll also tell you about recent developments in both countries regarding their nuclear programs and what that might mean for the rest of the world. So make sure to watch until the end. It's gonna be epic. And before we get started, we just want to thank you all for the support you've given us. We wouldn't be where we are today without you guys. So thanks again for everything. Now let's begin. The United States and North Korea have very different views when it comes to nuclear power. The United States sees it as a necessary evil, something that must be done in order to protect the country from attack. North Korea sees it as a godsend, a way to ensure its survival. As a result, the two countries have very different policies when it comes to nuclear weapons. The United States has over 5,200 nuclear weapons and is the only country to ever use them in warfare. North Korea has around 40 nuclear weapons and has never used them in warfare. However, North Korea's nuclear program is growing rapidly. In the past year alone, North Korea has conducted 6 nuclear tests. This is in stark contrast to the United States, which has not conducted a nuclear test since 1992. So why is North Korea testing so many nuclear weapons? Well, there are a few reasons. First, North Korea wants to be able to strike targets within the United States. Currently, North Korea's nuclear weapons cannot reach the United States. However, they are working on developing new missiles that will be able to do just that. Once they have this capability, they will feel much more confident in their ability to protect themselves. Second, North Korea wants to be able to strike targets in South Korea. South Korea is a major ally of the United States, and a nuclear attack on South Korea would be seen as an attack on the United States. By striking targets in South Korea, North Korea would send a message to the United States that they are serious about protecting their country. Finally, North Korea wants to be able to strike targets in Japan. Japan is another major ally of the United States, and a nuclear attack on Japan would be seen as an attack on the United States. Additionally, Japan is home to many U.S. military bases. By striking targets in Japan, North Korea would be able to cause significant damage to the United States military. One of the big questions when it comes to nuclear weapons is deterrence. Does having nuclear weapons actually prevent other countries from attacking you? For the most part, the answer is yes. Countries like France, Germany, and Japan have all been deterred from attacking the United States because they know that it would provoke a nuclear response. However, North Korea may not be deterred by the threat of nuclear weapons. They may see them as a necessary evil in order to protect their country from attack. Additionally, North Korea is ruled by a dictator. Dictators are often irrational and may not act in the best interest of their country. Kim Jong-un, the ruler of North Korea, may be willing to use nuclear weapons against South Korea or Japan in order to protect his own power. What makes North Korea even more dangerous is their leader, Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un is a ruthless dictator who will stop at nothing to protect his power. He has ordered the execution of anyone who has opposed him, including his own family members. Kim Jong-un is also responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of North Koreans through forced labor, starvation, and execution. If Kim Jong-un feels threatened, he may order the use of nuclear weapons against South Korea or Japan. Another reason to worry about North Korea's nuclear program is their leader's mental state. There is no doubt that Kim Jong-un is mentally unstable. He has ordered the assassination of people who have criticized him, and has even threatened to nuke his own country if he is removed from power. When someone is that unstable, you can never be sure what they might do. It is possible that Kim Jong-un could order the use of nuclear weapons simply because he is feeling angry or paranoid. North Korea's nuclear program is a serious threat to the entire world. Their leader is ruthless. Their nuclear program is growing rapidly, and they have shown that they are willing to use nuclear weapons. The only hope is that the threat of nuclear weapons is enough to deter North Korea from attacking. But with Kim Jong-un at the helm, that may not be a certainty. Let's take a look at the United States nuclear arsenal. The United States has over 5,200 nuclear warheads. That's more than any other country in the world. The U.S. has been involved in the development of nuclear weapons since the Manhattan Project in the 1940s. After the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II, the U.S. became the only country to ever use nuclear weapons in warfare. Since then, the U.S. has developed a variety of nuclear weapons, including those that can be launched from submarines, missiles, or aircraft. The U.S. also has a number of nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. Now let's take a look at North Korea's nuclear arsenal. North Korea has an estimated 40 nuclear weapons. North Korea's nuclear program began in the 1950s when they started developing their first atomic bomb. In the 1980s, North Korea began testing ballistic missiles. In 2006, North Korea conducted its first nuclear test. Since then, North Korea has conducted several more nuclear tests. Recently, North Korea has been conducting tests of new types of nuclear weapons. These include small, tactical nuclear weapons that could be used on the battlefield and intercontinental ballistic missiles that could be used to strike targets within the United States. It's clear that North Korea's nuclear program is growing rapidly. They are developing new types of nuclear weapons and testing them frequently. What does this mean for the future? Well, it remains to be seen what North Korea's ultimate goals are when it comes to their nuclear program. However, it is clear that they are becoming more and more capable. It's possible that eventually they will feel confident enough to use nuclear weapons in a conflict. If that happens, it could be disastrous. The United States has taken steps to try to prevent North Korea from developing nuclear weapons. These include economic sanctions and military exercises with South Korea and Japan. However, these efforts have not been successful. North Korea continues to develop new nuclear weapons and to test them frequently. Some experts believe that the only way to stop North Korea's nuclear program is to take military action. However, this is a controversial topic. Many people believe that military action would be too risky and could lead to a wider conflict. Others argue that military action is necessary to stop North Korea's nuclear program. There are also those who believe that diplomacy is the best way to deal with North Korea. They argue that the United States should try to negotiate with North Korea in order to get them to give up their nuclear weapons. However, negotiations with North Korea have been unsuccessful in the past. The international community is divided on how to deal with North Korea's nuclear program. Some countries, such as China and Russia, have close ties with North Korea and have been reluctant to take strong action against them. Other countries, such as Japan and South Korea, feel that the threat from North Korea is too great to ignore and have pushed for stronger sanctions and military action. At the end of the day, the international community has not been able to come up with a good solution to the North Korea nuclear problem, and it's likely that this situation will continue for years to come. Both the US and North Korea have a lot of nuclear weapons. 2. SSOBR 5,200, while North Korea has around 40. But despite the large disparity in numbers, North Korea's nuclear arsenal should not be underestimated. They are developing new types of nuclear weapons and testing them frequently. This could be disastrous if North Korea ever feels confident enough to use them in a conflict. The US has taken steps to try to prevent North Korea from developing nuclear weapons, but so far these efforts have not been successful. The international community is divided on what to do about North Korea's nuclear program, but everyone can agree that it is a serious threat. You may wonder why the Hermit Kingdom needs so many nukes. To put it in perspective, the USA's arsenal has about 3,758 warheads deployed in various ways. For instance, there are 2,555 in various stages of readiness for strategic missions, and another 1,155 in reserve. Additionally, there are another 1,857 awaiting dismantlement. On the other hand, North Korea has an estimated 40 nuclear weapons. While the exact number is unknown, intelligence agencies estimate that this is a reasonable figure. As mentioned earlier, North Korea conducted its first nuclear test in 2006 and has since conducted 5 more, most recently in 2017. The country has also tested a variety of ballistic missiles, some of which are believed to be capable of reaching the United States mainland. Despite the threat posed by North Korea's nuclear program, diplomatic efforts to denuclearize the Korean peninsula have so far been unsuccessful. While the number of North Korea's nuclear weapons is dwarfed by that of the United States, it still poses a serious threat to regional stability. Additionally, North Korea's willingness to use nuclear weapons against the South Korea and Japan cannot be ruled out. This was our video about USA vs. North Korea. Nuclear power compared. If you enjoyed it, please stay tuned for more amazing videos.